Even as the president signed a bill to provide death benefits to military families on Thursday, the outrage over the suspended payments for the first 10 days of the shutdown remains. And there's an increasing chorus of calls for Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel to step down. Jane Horton's husband, Army sniper Christopher Horton, was killed in action in Afghanistan in September of 2011. As a war widow, she knows firsthand not only how important the immediate death benefits are to the families of the fallen, but that all who die defending our freedom are able to be given the dignified transfer they deserve. And Jane Horton joins me now. Jane, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to see you again, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Governor, for having me.
First of all, Jane, tell us what happens when you get that knock on the door and they tell you that your husband has been killed in action.
When I got the knock at the door by the two uniformed military officers, they immediately sat me down and told me that I would get death gratuity to pay for all the immediate expenses of my husband's funeral. This money was used to pay my mortgage, to pay my car payment, to put food on the table, and also my family flew in the next day from Ohio, and that money came to cover that, as well as the month and a half that it took to bury my husband and the several dignified transfers that followed.
I know that that's an important part of the process of recovering from the death of a spouse, but my guess is that's money you wish you never had to receive, because it represented the death of your husband and a change of your life that meant things would never be the same.
It was very horrifying to get. It made me sick to my stomach, and it took me a very long time to accept that money. But it was something that was essential for me to give my husband the very best I could give him. He gave his life for me, and it was the biggest honor and responsibility of my life to give him the best funeral that I could give, fitting of a valiant warrior.
Jane, 29 soldiers have been killed in action since the partial government shutdown. These families, when they got the knock on the door, they didn't get the assurance that they would receive that same benefit that you received. How did you feel for them when you found out that these military benefits for the families of those killed in action weren't going to be paid right away?
Governor, I was sickened, I felt betrayed, I was hurt, and to be honest, it wasn't even about the money. It was that our country went there. They crossed a line that you don't cross. They inflicted pain upon one of our most vulnerable and sacred populations in America. And honestly, they disrespected the warriors that gave their life for our nation.
You know, when I hear the stories of these families, I just wonder, do you think that this happened on purpose? Could this have been avoided?
I do not think it happened on purpose. I have some pretty good sources on that. I've talked to a lot of people to try to figure out what went wrong. But I honestly think that our nation is in such disarray right now, and so many people are bickering that they forgot us. They forgot one of America's most vulnerable populations, and it's just something that is absolutely unacceptable and should never, ever, ever happen. And when our country's priorities are so messed up that we overlook a population of those that have given up everything for our freedom, I think we really need to look at ourselves and look at our priorities as a country.
Well, Jane, I thank you very much for being here. You know, I'm so sorry for what you and your family have had to go through, and I'm embarrassed that other families had to go through it without even getting those benefits until finally, after 10 days, Congress woke up and decided they would get this fixed and the president would take care of it. But it should never have happened. And we thank you and for your continued service to the other families, because I know you've been out there traveling and meeting them. And God bless you, Jane, for doing that.
Thank you very much, Jane.